Hi guys! So, we are filming this a day late because we were not aware that it was a double episode last night.
We were filming about last night's original episode, the first episode, and then when we finished filming, we went and looked at the TV
and it was ending.
Oh, it was
the
the
second
end
episode.
of the second episode. So we're doing it today, and that's why both videos are going to go up today.
Right, so this episode was for Kazakhstan, which we thought was going to be next week, but it was actually at 9 o'clock. So
yeah,
now we know. This episode, like the previous ones, just keep getting better.
Oh, good.
Because, in my opinion, like, they just have to keep getting better because the competition gets stiffer and stiffer in each one.
Yeah.
Plus, like...
You're more attached, so you're more upset about, like, who's gonna go.
And more invested.
Yeah. Oh,
although
so
they get you invested, like, even when you don't really care about them.
Like that. It's so good.
So, let's start with Kaylin and Haley, who showed up, and everyone was like, oh, thank God, like, the blonde bandits.
Gone.
They called them the blonde bandits.
They started calling them the blonde bandits. They're like, okay, they're gone now. Wow, like, good for them.
And then they show up,
and then they're like,
I'm here. Guess what? Luck, we know her. We're cool with her.
She's our best friend.
Proud of them for being able to
just keep it
like,
going.
They get dealt like the worst hands, yet
they
it
have
works
the
out.
best luck at the same time too. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. The blondes are something else.
So this episode started out basically with
the blondes showing up, and then
they all got onto
they had
a flight.
An equalizer. They were all on the same flight, and then when they got there, the first roadblock. Well, actually, the blondes had a speed bump, and then after they did the speed bump, then they could go on to the first roadblock. So their speed bump was they had to put on the beards.
Right. So Kaylin and Haley basically
makeup.
had to apply, like a hair adhesive, and put on beards. They looked just like Riley and Madison when they did it, and it was really funny.
It was funny.
They
looked
oh
a
my
lot
God!
better
I just
in a
realized.
beard than I think
Imagine if they had to like go home with beards on. Like you're eliminated, and they're like,
okay, thanks.
would have been iconic. Anyway,
a moment.
So they got off the flight, and the first thing that they had to do was they showed up to this film studio in Kazakhstan, which films like action and like period piece films.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the tasks was to watch a battle scene, and they had to basically
and
count,
then answer questions about it.
like count how many horses there were, how many spears, axes.
Did he shout? Did the person shout out?
Yeah.
And then the other option, which I would have wanted to do, and the blondes wanted to do, but then couldn't do after they got done with their roadblock. There was
Not
a limit
space.
of people that could do certain ones, and that one was taken. But they got to you get to act out like a stunt scene in a movie, and you have to do everything exactly how it's supposed to be. And then if you're done, you can break the vase, and then you get the next clue to go on to the other roadblock.
Right. So D'Angelo and Gary, Will and James. Who else did the choreography? And then Riley and Madison did the choreographed stunt piece.
And the only one that had to do it more than once was Ashwar and Aparna. Will and James did too.
Yeah, because
Will came in.
Well, I think they all had to do it except for Riley and Madison, because I feel like D'Angelo and Gary messed up at one point.
I don't know, but that one was clearly the easier one to take because everyone that did the watching it and having to answer the questions
had to redo it a few
times.
times.
To do it at least like 3 times. But Leo and Alana had to do it like I don't even know, like 8 times. It was a lot. They struggled with that one.
One thing I do like about like the choices is like one of them. Obviously, like you're watching, and it's a lot more mental, whereas the choreography is like more physical. So like they don't make it like, it's kind of like in Big Brother, where like if the HOH is physical, they make the veto.
Yeah,
mental.
so that's kind of like an even out. Like everyone that, like whatever your skill could be, you could find
choose
something, and it would work.
So Leo and Alana, Hung and Chi. Who else did the looking at the things? Kaylin and Haley, and then
that was it.
Right, and then because the 4 teams
did the other one.
Right. Yeah. So then after that, they basically they went out in like this remote kind of area where there was like different, they called them kurts. They look kind of like
yurts,
like huts.
Yurts.
Right.
Yeah.
They look kind of like little hut igloo, I don't know if that's like the appropriate term, but like they look like little like ice huts basically.
Yeah, because they were out in the snow.
And
in Kazakhstan.
Similar to the decorating the truck in Colombia, they had to match their
PTSD.
Yurt. They had to match their yurt to the different carpets and like all the different decorations.
Of the there was like a sample one that they had to go pick a camel and then it would have the supplies to do it.
With the exception of
the lamb's head had to be on a plate. And that didn't come. You had to like figure out that you had to go get that from someone.
Right.
And so that held up some people, as well as some people just didn't get like the way certain
like the things were supposed to be hung.
And stuff were supposed to be hung. They messed that up a little bit. But for the most part, it was like the head that kind of threw people off.
But before we go any farther ahead, everyone I know, lamb head. Everyone, with the exception of Leo and Alana, got through the first little section perfectly fine. However, Leo and Alana were struggling to get the number of spears right because there were people riding around with like flags that were spears,
and then
but they weren't using them, so technically they didn't count. And there was also spears like around.
Yeah, it's confusing.
And they kept bringing up like really big numbers, and
they were so.
So basically, Leo and Alana ended up taking a long time, and then. Because of that, Kaylin and Haley were able to make up time from their
because they like
speed
got
bump.
Through it. They only had to go through it like twice.
Yeah, they got it really quickly.
They got it really quick.
And they showed up to the huts or the yurts. And
there was
basically,
a yield, and no one had yielded yet, and the only team left behind them was Leo and Alana. So then Will and James were like, "Should we yell at them? Should we tell them to yield? Like they need."
And
to
James
yield.
comes out and is like, "You gotta yield them.
You gotta do it."
And
the
then
only team behind you.
Riley comes out and he's
hard.
like, "You gotta do it."
Like,
Eshwar comes out, "You gotta do it." So
they were all like, "Gang, gang." And the girls felt kind of pressured, and they're like, "Okay," and they did it because they weren't gonna do it. If Will and James hadn't come out and said something, they said no.
They probably
we're not
weren't gonna do it.
But
that saved them.
So it was a leg winning or not losing move. You know
basically, it evened the playing field for them because I would imagine the first speed bump took about 20 to 30 minutes.
Probably, yeah.
So that really helped them. And especially with them being super productive in the different like parts of the competition, because they also finished decorating the yurt fairly quickly. I think they got it the first attempt.
Yeah.
But basically, Leo and Alana showed up, and they saw they got yielded by Kaylin and Haley. But of course, on their way to So basically, on their way to the yurts, Leo and Alana were like, "Oh, Kaylin and Haley aren't going to yield us. Like, it'll be fine.
We trust them." And Kaylin and Haley weren't going to, honestly. If
and they hadn't
had outside influence, they wouldn't have done it. And they felt bad, but they were like, "It's a game." And Will and James were like, "Yes, making moves." And then like Riley Madison were like, "Yes, yes, yes." And I'm sure Hung and Chi and Eshwar Aparna were not mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not mad about it.
So
it was great. It was.
Leo,
I loved the moment.
Leo was, you guys got to do what you got to do. It's fine.
Oh my God, he's such a level-headed, nice person.
I don't think I've ever seen him get mad throughout this competition.
At anyone or anything.
Which is honestly kind of weird. At all. He's not been upset at all.
He's just living his life. He's like, it's not $1 million or anything.
I believe they're the only team to have been yielded so far, because
twice.
They got yielded by Will and James in the Brazil episode, and then they got yielded
just now
in the Kazakhstan episode. So that sucks.
Yeah, but they kept her leveled about it, and they got in there, and honestly they ran through it. So they definitely needed to be yielded, because if they weren't, it probably would have passed up Eshwar and Aparna and Kaylin and Haley. So
had they just gotten the first part of the
they could have happened first or second.
Yeah, because everything else they did really well. But I feel like because they struggled so hard with that part in the beginning, it really pushed them to focus and get everything done in the later parts. So basically, also another little piece of the continuing drama with Hung and Chi.
Oh my God, yes, this part.
So basically, I believe Hung and Chi were one of the first people to like immediately know that you had to ask for the skull.
Yeah, they did.
So
they discovered it and they're like, "Okay, we'll come back."
So on their way to running out to the next part,
to get in the taxi,
they passed D'Angelo and Gary, and they were like, "Oh, like did we need to get like the skull or whatever?"
And, like, yeah.
And Hung was like, "Yeah, it's over there." And then immediately she was like, "Why did I do that?
Why did I do that? Why did I do that?"
I knew immediately.
And then there was this hilarious moment in the taxi when she was like, to Chi.
She was like, "Are you upset with me? It's fine. You have 90 seconds to get over it."
And he was like, "I mean,
I'm not mad." And
she was like, "No, you don't have to get over it right now. You can like take 90 seconds."
And he was just like
it was
like
funny.
he was like, I mean, like I just don't understand why you did that, but like whatever.
It's fine.
It wouldn't have made a difference. It would have honestly made it worse for them.
Probably
because then that would have started more.
But it was just like.
So I think that was the only continuing bit of drama.
Yes. Well,
Riley and Madison and Will and James also kind
like
of
neck and neck.
When they communicated at one point too.
Yeah, about the skull or
the skull, I think.
Something. Yeah, I think so.
I believe it was mentioned in this episode. Will and James mentioned that
they have a real like close knit alliance relationship
with Hung and Chi and Riley Madison. But in my opinion, their relationship with Riley Madison is
the strongest
because they've helped each other. Whereas Hung and Chi really haven't they've not done anything. Right, they haven't done anything like against them or for them. Same with D'Angelo and Gary, but. They mentioned Riley Madison and Hung and Chi are in like their like immediate circle.
Immediate one, and then the
Eshwar and Aparna.
Extra bigger alliance adds in Eshwar and Aparna and
D'Angelo and Gary. And then Leo and Alana, Kaylin and Haley.
And he was like, "Yep," and I was like, "Yeah, I knew it. That makes sense. Yeah, I see that."
Because I mean, Eshwar and Aparna, like they've been a part of the big alliance, but they also just like
they just haven't been there for stuff. So it's like they couldn't help or be a detriment. They're just.
It's just how it's worked out that. Will and James and Riley Madison, Hung and Chi are always in
around
the top.
each other in the top, yeah.
D'Angelo and Gary recently too, but they've been kind of separated from the groups.
Yeah.
So, that was another thing. So then after finishing decorating the yurts,
and they had to go to the bazaar, the meat market, and they had to find their next clue. And it was like up and hidden, and like Will and James were kind of like overwhelmed at first, and then someone told them to look up, and then they went up and they got it, and then no, I think that's when they helped them. They told me you have to look up or something to Riley and Madison. Or no, I don't know.
No, because
it was just the people in the market.
Because when they were getting there, that's when they saw them in the taxi.
Oh yeah.
I don't know when. I was probably the skull.
I can't. Yeah, I think so.
But then. Also, Leo had mentioned that he taught English in Russia at one point, and he knew a little bit of Kazakh. So
yeah,
I mean, they had everything going for them.
But
had they not been yielded, they would have done well.
They would have pulled it through. So basically, who came in first?
Will and James.
Who came in second?
Riley and Madison.
Third was Hung and Chi.
Again.
And then fourth was D'Angelo and Gary.
Right.
Fifth was Kaylin and Haley.
When they showed up, I want to say, so then the last little bit of the competition was probably the most stressful bit. The only other time I've been really stressed when watching was Michelle and Victoria and Jerry and Frank forgetting their bags.
Yeah, it was just
when they were getting on the boats, because that's just like a big hit. Like
it just pulls at your heartstrings. Like you just know it's like it's probably done.
But Kaylin and Haley were really close last time, and them being neck and neck with Eshwar and Aparna and Leo and Alana from the yurt to the bazaar to the final
it was like
part
someone
with
could
Phil.
Grew up and it could be anybody now.
Like someone could like take the wrong turn and they would lose. Like it was that close. At least the editing. That's one thing. Like the editing in the show is done so well. Like I appreciate that they make it so like exciting, because I'm sure it's obviously it's not going to be like within seconds of each other. Sometimes it is, but I feel like the editing in Amazing Race is done like really well. So
last
and they're never
place
Oh yeah.
Second to last was Eshwar and Aparna. Last place was Leo and Alana. They were eliminated.
And it was
and of
it was
course
very
Leo
upsetting.
again was just like,
you know,
it is what it is.
We proved ourselves to be very compatible, and they did.
They did.
Like, I really like them. Like, I really never disliked them.
No, you liked them from the
I liked
beginning.
them from the very beginning. There was just the whole drama with like them being kind of punished for helping out Kaylin and Haley.
Yeah.
Ultimately leading to their downfall is just like really upsetting. But
you know,
I mean,
it was good
it's a race.
TV. It was good TV.
And they were a great team. And I really appreciated watching
both of these episodes were great. We finally watched this last one. It was so good. We will be back next Wednesday.
For a mega leg. Double the length. Double the roadblocks. And we're thinking it's going to be a double elimination. Because it's already been 2 non-elimination legs.
I don't know.
A double elimination...
Like, we thought
that's
these
gonna cut
other
it
episodes
down.
were lit. This one's about to be so lit. Like, I'm so excited.
So, we will see you next week.
Can't wait till Wednesday. But until then, like, comment, share, subscribe.